Delivered by Honourable Patrick Obahiagbon to APC delegates and Nigerians on the 25th day of May 2022. And this press conference is titled, Why the APC and Nigerians need to vote for Honourable Rotimi Amaechi. At a time like this, when Nigeria is at the cusp and threshold of another electoral cycle, it is a moment for well-meaning Nigerians to assist with the provision of a directional compass and torchlight that will hopefully point the way forward for us all. At a time like this, when Nigeria is at the cusp and threshold of another electoral cycle, it is a moment for well-meaning Nigerians to assist with the direction of a searchlight and compass that will hopefully point the way for us all. It is against this background that I have decided to call this press conference primarily targeted at APC delegates who are preparing to cast their votes very soon for that presidential candidate that will fly his presidential banner in the 2023 presidential elections. This press conference is, of course, also targeted at Nigerians who will eventually cast their votes for their favored presidential candidate at the nick of time. This intervention has become a compelling political sine qua non at a time when all manner of persons have shown interest to become Nigeria's president. Let me say without equivocation and post haste too, that if we are looking for a man deeply committed to Project Nigeria, then the APC and Nigerians should only look at the direction of Honourable Rotimi Amaechi. I dare say, with a huge sense of historical responsibility and a visceral and deep commitment to Nigeria, that of all the APC presidential aspirants seeking the electoral imprimatur of our APC delegates, Honourable Rotimi Amaechi is the only one coming to the presidential table with that requisite, cognate, and composite experience suited for the presidential job. He has been forged in the furnace of parliamentary interstices, where he became Speaker of Rivers State House of Assembly for 8 years, and also Chairman of the Conference of Speakers for 8 years. He also brings with him the cognate experience of being a governor for 8 years, where he was equally voted by his colleagues to be the chairman of the Governors Forum for that 8 years. Only recently, he was a member of Nigeria's Federal Executive Council for about 7 years now, until he tendered his resignation. Only until recently, he was a member of Nigeria's Federal Executive Council, where he served, and very successfully too, for 7 years as Minister of Transportation. Gentlemen of the press, who else among the presidential aspirants comes to the presidential table with this kind of cognate and composite political experience of governance behind him? But for me, equally of importance and a matter of significant focal biceps and biceps is the fact that Honourable Amaechi has served meritoriously and without blemish, coruscatingly so, in all the departments he has had the privilege to serve Nigeria and serve humanity. Nigeria is today currently steeped in a quagmire of insecurity bugbear. And I dare say with a sense of humility and a deep sense of responsibility that Honourable Chibuike Rotimi Amaechi has been the only person that has been faced with this kind of hydra-headed monstrous security challenges, which he handled successfully and battled to a standstill as governor of Rivers State. Let me quickly recall that at the time when Honourable Chibuike Amaechi became governor of Rivers State, Port Harcourt was like a war and sanguinary zone. Port Harcourt faced the Obesian state of nature where life was short, nasty, and brutish. So much so that the human resources of the New York-based Marsh and Macmillan had stigmatized Port Harcourt at that time as ranking alone to Baghdad, the Iraqi war capital. Even Bloomberg at that time described Port Harcourt as the most dangerous city of the world. It was to Honourable Chibuike Amaechi's credit that he confronted the security challenge, which had morphed into a Gorgon Medusa. Upon his assumption of office, which he fought to a standstill and to smithereens. He led from the front as a political generalissimo that he has always been, and through a combined boundary of technology-driven security architecture and rejigging of the political economy, Port Harcourt again became a haven for investments, a haven for foreign investors. On the educational frontiers, Honourable Chibuike Rotimi Amaechi was a dazzling success with the educational revolution he launched. It had so much of a far-reaching effect that he attracted to himself both national and international plaudits. He was commended at that time by UNICEF for his prodigious commitment to the educational revolution, so much so that he got encomiums and panegyrics from far and wide. The former Israeli Prime Minister, Ehud Olmert, was not left in giving the governor of Rivers State at that time, Honourable Chibuike Amaechi, a pat on the back. He declared a state of emergency in the education sector on assumption of office in October 2007. That he had to take over the payment of salaries of primary school and junior secondary school teachers, which was the statutory functions of local governments. That intervention cost the state government about 2 billion naira monthly. Not to talk of the numerous international scholarships he awarded. He awarded over 3,000 foreign and local scholarships, employed over 13,000 teachers, made education free from primary to secondary level, supported the University of Port Harcourt, a federal government institution with infrastructure and human capacity. Made school fees for undergraduate students, free and uniform in the entire Rivers State. It was in the area of road infrastructure that Honourable Chibuike Rotimi Amaechi showed his connection with the hoi polloi and his connectivity with the solar plexus of NNAMDIKANU Talakawas. I said this against the background of the fact that 70% of its road infrastructure were located in the rural areas, with 30% alone within the greater Port Harcourt metropolis. His love for the poor was also felt in the health sector, with its provision for free health services to all our citizens in all government-owned hospitals in Rivers State. What are his records in his recent ministerial portfolio? What are his records in his recent ministerial portfolio? One can safely pontificate that whilst Honourable Chibuike Rotimi Amaechi served as Minister of Transportation in the Federal Executive Council until recently, he brought a singular and perfect determination to bear in the clinical discharge of his constitutional responsibilities as usual, that he became one of the defining remarkable success beacons of the Buhari administration. The revolution that Honourable Chibuike Amaechi brought to bear in the transport sector, and particularly in the railway revolution and maritime security, is unmatched, unequaled, and non-parallel in the history of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The details of its rise in this area is recent history. It is visible to the deaf and audible to the blind. My fellow APC delegates, we are currently at the threshold of history where we need a Nigerian president not only forged in the furnace of deep political experience that traverses both parliamentary interstices and executive governmental acumen, both at the state and national level, which Amaechi alone brings to this presidential table and race. We also need a president that has shown considerable passion for the Nigerian project. Considerable passion for the Nigerian project. One that has robustly demonstrated its national bridge building capacity for a very long time. One that has demonstrated its national bridge building capacity for a month of Sundays now. An audacious and compassionate soul personality, who more importantly has a proven and track record of successfully smashing to smithereens the octopodal monster of security challenges wherever they have manifested themselves, like Honourable Wike Rotimi Amaechi successfully did when he was governor of Rivers State. It is on this note that I use the opportunity of this press conference in appealing to all delegates to the Presidential National Convention to vote in Honourable Wike Amaechi as the APC presidential flag bearer for the 2023 presidential elections. I thank you, gentlemen of the press, for honoring my invitation to this press conference. It is very clear that if this country wants to move forward, we need a man with cognate and composite political experience. And of all the aspirants that have come to the presidential table, Honourable Rotimi Amaechi is the only man that has that composite and requisite experience that he has brought to the presidential table. Here is a man that was forged in the furnace of parliamentary interstices for 8 years and became chairman of the Conference of Speakers for that 8 years. He became governor of Rivers State for 8 years and was chosen and elected by his colleagues as chairman of the Governors Forum for 8 years. Recently, he has served as Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for about 7 years. I challenge any presidential aspirant just like APC who comes to the presidential table with this cognate experience. But for me, it is not just the fact that Honourable Rotimi Amaechi has served in these various theaters of life. It is the fact that he has recorded humongous success. The country today is steeped in a security bugbear of quagmire. And of all the presidential aspirants, Honourable Rotimi Amaechi is the only person that had been faced with this kind of challenge when he became governor of Rivers State. The security challenges in Rivers State has morphed into an octopodal Gorgon Medusa at the time Chief Rotimi Amaechi became governor. He put his hands on the plow, he led like a Generalissimo and smashed to smithereens the security bugbear in Rivers State. That is where we find ourselves just now in Nigeria. We need a man with that kind of experience. We need a man who is forged in all the departments of governance. And above all, we need a man who is compassionate, a man who has demonstrated compassionateness to the feelings and the rigor of the Nigerian project.
Thanks for checking out SYMFONI on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.